Lorne Greene was born on February 12, 1915, in Ottawa, Canada, during one of the coldest winters the country had ever seen, with temperatures dropping to 40 degrees below zero. His father Daniel had escaped Russia in 1902 to avoid violent attacks against Jewish people and ran a small shoe repair shop that earned only $8 a week during the war years. The entire family of 6 people, including Lorne's grandparents who couldn't speak English, crammed into a 2-room apartment on Clarence Street, and young Lorne slept on a bed made from flour sacks stuffed with newspaper. When the Spanish flu hit Ottawa in 1918, 3-year-old Lorne became so sick with pneumonia that everyone thought he would die, but his grandmother fed him raw garlic and honey every hour for weeks until he somehow pulled through. His mother Dora worked 14-hour days in a factory for just 15 cents an hour, and at night she brought home torn newspapers from wealthy neighborhoods to teach Lorne how to read because she believed education would save him from poverty. Everything changed on March 15, 1922, when a fire broke out in Daniel's cobbler shop due to faulty wiring mixing with shoe polish fumes, destroying $400 worth of tools and equipment and leaving Daniel with badly burned hands. The family had no insurance and still owed $200 in rent, so they were evicted and ended up living in the basement of the Hebrew Benevolent Society with 12 other families, where Lorne slept on an old army cot and developed nightmares about fire and screaming. This traumatic experience left Lorne with a lifelong fear of debt and a determination never to rely on just one source of income, which later shaped how he handled money and investments during his Hollywood years. By 1928, 13-year-old Lorne was cast as Tree Number 3 in a school play, but instead delivered a 5-minute speech mocking Ottawa's corrupt city council, causing 3 board members to storm out and the mayor's wife to demand his expulsion, though his drama teacher told him he had real talent. During the Great Depression in 1931, Lorne collected broken wires and tubes from dumps to build a radio in his family's coal cellar, using money saved from delivering newspapers, working by candlelight because his father refused to let him use electricity, but when his mother discovered it, she smashed the radio with a rolling pin because she thought performers were no better than circus people. Lorne rebuilt the radio in a neighbor's garage and practiced reading newspaper headlines into a homemade microphone from midnight until 2 in the morning every night. After graduating high school in 1933, he turned down a job at the Imperial Bank and enrolled in acting school at the Ottawa Little Theatre, paying tuition by pawning his father's gold pocket watch, which caused a 3-year rift in the family, and he changed his name to Lorne after reading about Scotland's River Lorne. In 1939, Lorne joined CBC Radio in Toronto at age 24 and quickly became the main national news reader, even inventing a reverse stopwatch that helped announcers track time during live broadcasts, earning him a nickname, the Voice of Canada. When World War II started, and he began reading casualty reports as Canada lost more than 45,000 soldiers, people started calling him the Voice of Doom because his deep, serious voice delivered the worst news to families across the country, and the weight of reading death notices night after night eventually drove him to leave CBC and join the Royal Canadian Air Force, where he narrated wartime documentaries, including one that won an Academy Award. After the war, he opened the Academy of Radio Arts in Toronto in 1945, which trained students including Leslie Nielsen, and in 1951 he co-founded the Jupiter Theatre, which performed 15 plays over 3 years as part of his mission to build something uniquely Canadian in the arts. Lorne moved to Hollywood in 1952 at age 37 with a $3,000 drama scholarship from the Canadian government, but his deep voice made casting directors assume he was a villain and he struggled to find work, though his break came when Orson Welles heard him perform a monologue on television. In 1953, he walked away from a $2,500 job narrating a documentary about nuclear testing after discovering the government had cut footage showing animal deformities. And in 1954, Warner Brothers gave him a contract where he broke his nose doing his own stunts in a crime film, but refused painkillers and kept filming. Over the next several years, he took various roles and even tried starting his own production company, investing $15,000 to make a documentary about the War of 1812. But when NBC demanded control of his voice work for 5 years, he refused and the deal collapsed, forcing him to sell his Burbank home at a loss. From 1952 to 1959, Hollywood repeatedly told him his voice was too serious, and he only got fatherly or stern roles in just 12 TV shows and 4 movies over 7 years, barely making enough to pay bills and having to do secret voiceover work under fake names. And by 1957, he was ready to quit until his wife convinced him to stay 1 more year. In 1959, he was offered a role in a new Western series called Bonanza and could choose between playing the father or the oldest son. and after consulting with his former student Leslie Nielsen, who told him to play the father because he would be the center of the story, Lorne took the role of Ben Cartwright and signed a 7-year deal. After just 16 episodes, Lorne threatened to quit because he felt Ben Cartwright was too cold and fake, and at that time the show was ranked number 45 and dying. But when the writers rewrote the character to be warmer and more human, the show's ratings jumped to number 2 by 1961. Lorne clashed badly with Pernell Roberts, who played his son, and thought Lorne acted like a dictator trying to control too much, and they argued so often that producers had to step in. And when Roberts left the show in 1965, the remaining cast split the money 3 ways instead of 4. Lorne pushed to make Bonanza focus on moral lessons instead of just shootouts, asking why they were always pointing guns at people and suggesting the Cartwrights should offer kindness before violence. And the show began dealing with racism, justice, and dignity, which was all Lorne's doing based on his experiences during the war. What nobody knew was that Lorne quietly donated 20% of his salary, about $2,000 per episode, to Canadian war orphans for years, and by the end of Bonanza in 1973, he had donated over $400,000, which would be nearly $3 million today. In 1964, his personal life hit the headlines when an affair made the tabloids while he was still married to Rita Hance, whom he had wed in 1938, and the guilt led him to help write an episode focused on family values. Though his song Ringo had just hit number 1 and earned him $500,000 in royalties, which he gave to anti-nuclear causes despite knowing it might hurt his popularity with conservative viewers. By 1966, Lorne was fighting with Michael Landon, who wanted more love stories in the show, while Lorne called it trashy distraction, creating 2 different visions and a quiet war behind the scenes. Though Lorne continued pushing the show to deal with real issues like racism and insisting that Native American characters be played by Native actors, receiving hate mail, but also praise for breaking old stereotypes. After Bonanza ended in 1973, Lorne moved into science fiction by playing Commander Adama in Battlestar Galactica in 1978, and later launched Lorne Greene's New Wilderness in 1982, which ran for 104 episodes until 1987 and focused on conservation and wildlife. Lorne always felt Bonanza should have ended at season 6, especially after Dan Blocker died in 1972, and he was hurt that NBC canceled the show with just 2 days' notice after 431 episodes, giving no one the chance to write a proper goodbye. He passed away on September 11th, 1987, at age 72 from complications after ulcer surgery, just weeks before he was supposed to start filming Bonanza, The Next Generation, and about 500 people attended his funeral, where both Michael Landon and Pernell Roberts quietly reunited, honoring a man whose voice had gone from bringing war news to bringing peace and wonder to families, leaving a legacy that lives on in every strong, thoughtful father figure who came after him on television.